In the midst of a worldwide pandemic, thousands of refugees lose their shelter. We'll take you inside the largest refugee camp in Europe.
Protests flare up over police behavior here in the Bay Area in the wake of the Breonna Taylor case.
It's important to do it here because Facebook is funding the Menlo Park Police Department.
A new district pops up in San Jose, dedicated to a segment of the community honored in other cities for decades.
And we're learning more about the man who will lead the largest college system in California. Update News starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Jennifer Hernandez.
And I'm Nicole Albalar.
Today we have reporters standing by live in Santa Cruz, Turlock, Huron, and San Jose.
But we're starting on a faraway island. The Moria refugee camp in Lesbos, Greece has been a location for SJSU study abroad programs for the past 4 years. But this year, in a world affected by a pandemic, students were not able to make the trip. And COVID is just one problem for refugees in the camp. An orange hue filled the Greek sky as the fire swept through Moria refugee camp on the night of September 9th. The camp was home to more than 12,000 refugees in a place that was designed for only 2,200 people.
By 11 and 11:30, there were 5 separate fires from different angles of the camp. So it wasn't just one fire, it was several fires who turned into one big one.
The fire came as the camp was dealing with 35 cases of coronavirus. A group of non-governmental organizations were inside the camp, creating confusion and distrust by quarantining the refugees that had been in contact with infected individuals.
It wasn't handled in an appropriate way. So this made people feel like they were being kidnapped or arrested, and they didn't understand what was happening.
Riots, protests, and fires are not unusual in Moria, as the San Jose State students learned last summer while speaking with refugees there. But what was unusual was the military's inability to control the situation that night.
The fire truck was actually blocked by the riots in order to be able to shut down the fire.
My friends, they didn't let me to go inside my tent, and they told me that leave them. They are not important. Yourself is more important.
With more than 75% of the camp destroyed by fire, refugees at first spent some nights on the streets.
Because they wanted to go to reach Mytilene, but the police were blocked the way.
So the next day, a lot of people returned to their tents in Moria because they didn't want to be homeless, basically.
Protests erupted again in the following days.
And they were saying, we do not want to have your food and water or any kind of help. Just let us go.
They were not useful and they were not worked. Nothing changed. With the protests and with the fire, nothing changed.
Within a week, the Greek military was able to set up an emergency camp.
I mean, some people are saying there's no trees or anything like that. No, there's not. This is an emergency solution. This is not a long-term solution.
Refugees face more challenges. Showers are taken in the ocean, they are fed once every 24 hours, and frequently run out of fresh water.
It's a little bit safer than Moria, but the conditions and the facilities not like Moria.
Greek officials continue to provide resources for refugees, but with new events taking place each day, no one knows what will come next.
Protesters around the Bay Area are calling for police reforms in the wake of a grand jury report in the case of Breonna Taylor. Police killed the medical worker in her Kentucky apartment during a botched raid last March. But last week, a grand jury indicted only one of the 3 officers who fired shots. The charge was for wanton endangerment, not for causing Taylor's death. Danny White covered a protest from Menlo Park and joins us live now with more. Danny?
Jennifer, a group called the Hood Squad that coordinated the protest said it was important to do it at Menlo Park because they say the police department there needs reforms. Members of the group say they object to police practices against Black and Latinx people.
Protesters gathered near the Menlo Park Civic Center Friday night.
Police!
demonstrating against the grand jury decision to indict only one of the 3 officers involved in Breonna Taylor's death.
I'm not surprised at all. It didn't catch me off guard. What would catch me off guard would be justice.
JT Faraji was the leader of the protest in Menlo Park that evening, a protest with many layers.
It's important to do it here because Facebook is funding the Menlo Park Police Department.
Not only was this a protest in reaction to Breonna Taylor's recent trial, but was also directed specifically at the Menlo Park Police Department.
And the Menlo Park Police Department is known for racial corruption, racial profiling people. It's disgusting, and it's been happening for decades and decades and decades.
The first stop of the protest was the Menlo Park Police Department, where Faraji spoke and led protesters in chants. The protest then led to the intersection of El Camino Real and Menlo Avenue, blocking traffic, prompting some drivers to protest the protest with their horns.
Oftentimes when it comes to traffic jams, a lot of people, you'll find a lot of people are in alignment with that.
The protesters who go by the name Z and JC explain why it was important to start a traffic jam.
This is how people who have suffered from generational trauma feel, helpless, hopeless, stuck.
I think it got the point across to the people that are sitting in traffic, you know what I mean? I mean, they were frustrated, but so are we.
Besides a couple disgruntled drivers, everyone stayed safe during the 3-hour protest. They finished near the train station where Faraji gave one last speech.
We can make the world that we want. Can we make the world that we want? Can we make the world that we want?
We contacted the Menlo Park Police Department. It did not give an official statement, but the representative I spoke to said although Facebook has partially funded the police department there, the community did have a say in the matter, and it would be incorrect to say they had funded it entirely. Reporting live, Danny White, Update News.
San Jose is opening its doors to LGBTQ folks across the South Bay, with a new district opening downtown. Fernanda Del Velasco has more. Fernanda?
Nicole, Post Street is in downtown San Jose. It's had a historic past. Once known as El Dorado Street and home to Mardi Gras and Pride celebrations, it has now become a second home to LGBTQ communities of Santa Clara County. A known area in downtown San Jose is getting remodeled. Post Street is becoming Community, San Jose's new LGBTQ plus district.
Creating something safe and a zone is something that, I appreciate, because when I was 18 to 21, it would have been nice to know.
Project More is a non-profit organization that supports the LGBTQ community through events, education, and advocacy across Northern California. Nathan Svoboda, president of Project More, says it's been long in the making. They are excited that it's finally coming true.
Really what we want to do is help build and bring community and offer the South Bay LGBTQ people an opportunity and place where they can feel, be, and express themselves.
Post Street has long been a part of downtown San Jose. Now it's becoming even a more inclusive area.
We will continue to work with LGBTQ-minded businesses as well as LGBTQ entrepreneurs.
Jeremy Kirchner is a Project More board member. He says he's excited to be a part of this new inclusive community.
When you were in school and you would see that really awesome teacher that would post the pink upside down triangle, and you knew that was a safe classroom to be yourself? Well, I feel like this is the pink upside down triangle.
Along with Project More, the new community has support from San Jose City Councilman Raul Perales' office, Santa Clara County's Office of LGBTQ Affairs, design firm Gensler, and the San Jose Downtown Association. Director of Santa Clara County's Office of LGBTQ Affairs, Maribel Martinez, says that as one of the most innovative cities in the nation, San Jose needs to give a strong message that this is a welcoming place.
As a Chicana, Latina, queer, two-spirit person, it makes me feel seen. It makes me feel like I belong.
Community District takes after other LGBTQ communities around the Bay Area, like the Castro in San Francisco. Live in San Jose, Fernando de Velasco, Update News.
We're learning more about the man who will be leading the largest public university system in the United States, the next chancellor of the CSU system. Jasmine King is live in Hanford in Fresno County with more.
Jennifer, Dr. Joseph I. Castro is from Hanford. He joined us live on a virtual conference Friday, his first appearance since being appointed CSU Chancellor. The new California State University Chancellor has plans for the future of CSU students and is excited to get to work.
I am so thrilled to be Chancellor-select for the CSU. It's an amazing leadership opportunity.
Dr. Castro will be the first California native and Mexican American to hold the post.
It became clear to me that universities are one of those institutions in society that transforms lives. It was transforming mine, and that's what really triggered my own interest in working in universities. And
before becoming president of Cal State Fresno in 2013, he was a professor of family and community medicine at UC San Francisco. He wants to set an example that leadership, diversity, and commitment matter.
You know, I think often about that transformational component in public higher education and what it means in terms of turning dreams and hopes into reality.
Just this year, Money Magazine named San Jose State the most transformative college in the nation. Half of the bachelor's degrees awarded in California are CSU degrees. Dr. Castro says CSU is going to get strong with building more powerful relationships and commitment to the success of students and will make a greater difference.
The weather is making headlines on both coasts. Fires here in the west, hurricanes in the east. Student meteorologist Joshua Gilman has details.
It has been a crazy year for the United States regarding tropical activity. 2020 has seen a historical number of hurricanes, and so many have occurred that we've gone through all the names on the list. This is only the second time that this has occurred, the last year being 2005. And climatologists are worried that climate change is playing a role in this. I spoke with a meteorology student with a climate science concentration from San Jose State to hear her thoughts regarding this phenomenal tropical activity.
I would say that climate change does increase the intensity of hurricanes, but there's not enough data to show, or not enough time to show, that the frequency is going to increase.
So far, there have been 23 storms, and 8 of those being hurricanes, and that is just the Atlantic alone. I got the opportunity to interview a chief meteorologist working for ABC Columbia out in South Carolina, and he shares his experience with Tropical Storm Bertha and Hurricane Isaias. There is still debate whether or not climate change is playing a role in both hurricane frequency and intensity, but both of those factors have seemingly amplified this year in 2020.
It's important to structure it outside of a belief system and inside of an evidence-based support system. In terms of climate change, the number of storms that is likely going to increase. Also, the intensity of storms is likely to increase. But the verdict is still out completely on that. So I think more study is required, but it looks like the evidence is pointing in that direction.
It's a good thing that hurricane season has passed its peak in the US. The season technically ends next month in November, so hopefully October brings calmer and cooler waters. I'll come back later with the forecast to touch more on the wildfires.
When Update News returns, Hui Shen Chung will join us with arts and entertainment.
We'll look at how the pandemic is bringing about change.
Eating out is taking on a whole new dimension in a Central Valley restaurant.
We give credit to Tour Like To Go page, because without them, we don't know where we'd be during this difficult time for our business.
And put your fingers in a V formation. Victory for veggies. That and more when Update News returns.
And now we have Hui-Shen Chung with a look at arts and entertainment.
How is business looking for restaurants these days?
Well, Nicole, 7 months into the pandemic, we're finally receiving some positive news from the restaurant. Many businesses are struggling due to the pandemic, but a Facebook page is changing that. For some restaurants in Central Valley, Guadalupe Emilio is standing by live in Modesto. Guadalupe?
Hui-Shen, businesses are not only surviving, they are thriving. Business is blooming during the pandemic.
This is the secret sauce that most restaurant owners say is making all the difference to their businesses during the coronavirus. A Facebook page called Turlock to Go.
I've had a lot of smaller businesses who have honestly had more success during the pandemic than they did prior.
The restaurant Craving Kebab is thankful for the page.
So the first 2 weeks of pandemic before Turlock to Go existed or was created, the sales was down by 60 to 70%.
Now business is better than ever before.
Once the page was created and people started posting and we started posting, then our business came back to 100% and beyond what we were before the pandemic.
The Facebook page has more than 10,000 members who post pictures of their delicious food.
Yes, 100%. We give credit to Turlock to Go page because without them, we don't know where we'd be during this difficult time for our business.
Customers have also seen the boost in business.
And there will be at least like 5-7 different people coming in to pick up your stuff. And that's way different than like what would normally go on. It might be like one.
In Graham's purpose for the Facebook page is to support all restaurants, but is ecstatic for the support local restaurants have received.
It's been our opportunity to show them how much we appreciate them and to really reach out and help them through this time.
Craving Kebab is currently remodeling in preparation for the new customers they have acquired during the pandemic. Live from Turlock, Guadalupe Emilio, Update News.
In San Jose, a well-known restaurant is doing much better after a shaky spring. Kenya Yaballero brings us a story from downtown.
Hui-Shen, outdoor dining is the key here. Palermo restaurant had a patio before the pandemic, but still had to make changes before reopening.
With doors now open and clients returning, Palermo restaurant is back in business. The restaurant closed down in March for 3 weeks and reopened in April for takeout, but things did not go well.
Our business went from nice numbers to almost nothing.
Palermo had no option but to let many employees go.
You did not need servers, you didn't need bussers, you didn't need extra cleaners.
They began to lose hope, but were not willing to give up. With outdoor dining now being allowed, they started to call back their employees.
That made us feel a heck of a lot better. One, because we are lucky enough to already have had outdoor dining set up.
Cozy Man says that instead of worrying about setting up their patio, they began to train the staff on all the COVID requirements. With training received, they are now able to help and assist customer demands.
I am used to like the people that aren't compliant with the mask.
But that is not the only thing she has to deal with.
We always have people like trying to come inside and being like, hey, you know, can we sit inside?
Ramos says that for the most part, customers have been good at following the rules, and she is happy to hear them talk about their outdoor experience.
Fantastic. They have the best food, great service. I feel sometimes like I'm in a different country.
Kristen says she feels comfortable with all the regulations and safety steps the restaurant has put into place to keep their customers safe. She plans to return soon.
We love this place. I've come by myself with my dog and had wonderful meals. And of course I was a little hesitant to come out in the first few months, but now I feel a little bit more comfortable.
Thanks to outdoor dining, many restaurants have been able to see their numbers grow. But with the weather changing, many are worried for what's coming next. In San Jose, Kenya Caballero, Update News.
Gardening is popular during pandemic. The founder of Victory Veggie sees it as an opportunity to ease food shortage in Santa Cruz. This was once the Victory Garden, an international agriculture campaign that encouraged home vegetable gardening to mitigate food shortage during World War. But is now back as Victory Veggies in SoCal. After seeing plums rotten on the ground, a plant sprouted in one of the co-founders, Megan Brightwater's mind. She and Kate Palmore launched the Victory Veggie programs 3 months ago.
How are people starving and yet we have all this excess produce in Santa Cruz County? We've got to do something about this.
They aim to alleviate the food insecurity by collecting surplus produce from residents' gardens on each Tuesday. Then each Wednesday is delivery time. With the consistent updates on the Nextdoor app, the community cheers for action.
Now, a lot of people see the sign and they smile and they come up and then they say, when are you going to be here again? So it seems to be one of those things that people want to feed their neighbors.
Brightwater says they received a total of 125 pounds of produce. They can quantify the donation by boxes, but the help is unmeasurable.
I never look for appreciation because then you're just someone looking for attention. But people do appreciate you thinking about them, and I think that's the most important part.
Victory Veggies provides pickup service for growers in self-isolation, and the veggies are washed before pickup. That's especially important in Teresa Awesome's case. She tested positive for coronavirus in April, and she's still recovering.
I had a bumper crop of a lot of stuff, and I just wanted to give it back. Just give back to the community that helped me through my crisis.
Brightwater says to fight food insecurity, they are calling for volunteers to join them by setting up multiple signs around the county. Although the growing season is slowing down, Victory Veggie remains open to public every Tuesday afternoon 5 to 7 p.m.
Wow,
So
I could sure use a healthy snack after watching that.
I love my veggies. Okay, between fires and heat, weather is an important topic.
When we return, we'll get a forecast from Joshua Gilman.
We'll also take you behind the front door in the land of homeschooling.
It's challenging working from home and having two students school from home.
Update News will be right back.
While the pandemic has shut down universities and moved life virtually, elementary school students are feeling the heat as well. Homeschooling is forcing families to make some changes. Naughton Elementary School in San Jose is closed. Asa Dunn should be attending 5th grade there, but now he's studying in his kitchen and bedroom.
I like school online.
Students are now limited to Zoom meetings for all parts of class. They are given schedules that most need to stay on top of on their own. Parents may be working from home, but they don't always have time to supervise class.
It's challenging working from home and having two students school from home. I'm an only parent. Oftentimes we have 3 Zoom meetings happening at the same time in this house. I can't help people.
Students have their homework online, even PE online. They do it all and spend their day in front of a computer. They complete reading and even do assignments in workbooks, sending photos of the work to the teacher.
We do a math and reading.
Online class for elementary school students is not easy. Everyone is working hard to adjust to these changes, no matter the age. We hope for a successful school year to all students embracing this pandemic.
Now we have student meteorologist Joshua Gilman live with the 5-day forecast. Joshua?
The conditions we'll be seeing for the next week will be low cloud development in the late nights into the early mornings, with sunny skies in the afternoon. Throughout the Bay Area, it's going to be hazy over the weekend due to the new ongoing wildfires in Sonoma County. Looking at the satellite image, we see that there are low clouds far off the coastline due to offshore winds, and there is lots of smoke and haze settling throughout the Bay Area due to the fires up north. The air quality has been affected once again. Due to the new Sonoma County fires near Santa Rosa, we see on this graph that black carbon levels are 8 times higher than it was yesterday. And looking at this carbon monoxide graph, we see that levels are much higher than it was yesterday. Now, moving on to the 5-day forecast, starting in Santa Cruz, they're going to be experiencing a pleasant week next week with high temperatures in the mid-70s and low temperatures in the mid-50s. Up in San Francisco, their high temperatures are going to be mainly in the mid-60s, with the majority of the week being exactly 67 degrees, and low temperatures are going to be in the mid-50s as well. Out in the East Bay and Oakland, they're going to be experiencing high temperatures mainly in the mid-70s, with low temperatures in the upper 50s. Finally, here in the South Bay and San Jose, we're going to be experiencing high temperatures mainly in the mid-80s, with a peak day on Saturday at 86 degrees, and low temperatures are going to be in the mid to low 50s. Breathe easy, everyone, and have a great weekend.
And now for a look at events coming up at SJSU. This Friday, Spartans can learn how to get involved in saving the environment by joining a youth climate activist panel via Zoom. The panel includes high school and college students from the Bay. And we will have a Q&A session at the end of the discussion for SJSU students to be included in the conversation. Students and faculty can join a lunchtime lecture on October 8 with Quantum Trace CEO and founder Eric Silverstein to learn about cybersecurity. Those are just a couple of online events that you can check out from the comfort of your home.
And that does it for this week's edition of Update News.
For all of us here, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.